Gary, thanks a lot for having us over. And there's something different about this. This is a tank that looks somewhat similar, but yet it's different. And we are in a different Big L store. So what's going on?
We're actually visiting the Vaughn store today, 3300 Rutherford Road.
All right. So just what part of Toronto is that? This is like north west?
Yeah, it's north, kind of west. Jane and Rutherford would be a good sort of Vaughan Mills area.
You forgot to mention Wonderland. We're right next to Wonderland.
I'm not plugging them.
All right, so I've seen this tank for the past probably 6 to 8 months, and it has gone through one hell of a transformation. It caught my eye. I know we've done a few videos. You've done an exceptional job. It was one of the very well received videos on my channel on the location in Steeles, where you have a 5-footer, was it?
That's correct.
Over there?
Yep.
Now, this tank is bigger, and I can attest that a year ago, like, it was just barren. Like, there was nothing here. It was very, very different. And now I think this tank has been Gary-fied.
Thank you.
there we go. So in today's video, I want to just go over all the different aspects of what makes this tank unique, what you've done same, what you've done differently, talk about everything. So I'm very excited about it.
Me too. I'm glad to have you again. We appreciate you spending your time and taking your time to join us and share with your channel what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, so this is great. So taking a step back, first of all, I don't recognize the brand. What is the brand of the tank itself?
It's actually Aquatlantis, I believe. It's a ProStar system.
Oh, cool.
7230, maybe 72 by about 25 or 30 by about 24.
Yeah, I would say here it's about 20.
So you're 6 by 2 by 2.
Yeah, this is roughly what I would think as well. So, and it's a longer tank than you have in the other location, and yet you've managed to fully fill it. So before we go inside and like look on what's going on here, very quickly about the equipment, you've got 3 Radeons XR30. Which generation are they?
G6s.
Yeah?
Yep.
Blue or Pro?
We did this last time, and I'm going to say these ones are also the Pro.
I see.
We identified them as blues last time, and Ron corrected me that they were Pros.
Yes, because there's no blue light at the top. So
I do believe they are Pros.
Yeah. Okay, Pros. And what schedule are you running on them?
As I commonly do, a 12-hour schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We like to do a modified AB+.
Yep.
So for the most part, I'm doing a growth phase, a color phase, but I do modify my profiles personally.
Yep. Just
to accommodate my ongoing habits and what I'm accustomed to and what works for me. I'm trying not to change too much.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long is the growth phase and how long is the color phase?
We usually do approximately 4 hours, 5 hours with the growth phase and about 6 or 7 with the color phase.
And let me guess, the growth phase is like your blues, but now you also got some whites and other channels, and then you
the modified
bring it down
AB+
to a little bit more
20,000 modified.
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
very common. I think a lot of us do that these days.
Yep.
We start with the color or the growth phase, and then we add the color at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's amazing how this industry has kind of settled into that particular pattern. Because I remember when the first LEDs have come out, like there was no rhyme or reason. Everybody was doing their own little thing,
yes.
And then now everybody's kind of found that same kind of idea. Now,
I personally don't mean to interrupt you, but I personally like to go on, for example, the AI website. I'll take a profile from, let's say, Dimitri, for example, and I will actually use Dimitri's profile directly on my aquarium.
All right.
And if my schedule in terms of my lifestyle is different, I may modify the time on, the time off, the duration. And we do heavily stocked, you and I.
Yeah.
So we always tend to do a little bit aggressive with our intensity and our length of hours.
So when you do this, what are the things that you watch out for that will tell you whether you need to increase or decrease either the intensity or duration? And do you differentiate between the two?
I think like a lot of us, we tend to do the eye test. We personally, when I say we, I'm speaking of guys like me and you and Ron. We usually have a good understanding when something is maybe not correctly balanced.
Yeah.
And then I'm a very big stickler for water changes as well as my water testing. And then I'll make accommodations and changes based on that.
That's nice. So, and then when you see something, for example, kind of bleached out, you will back off and give it what, a few weeks before?
We have a few examples down here of ones that I'm not really too comfortable leaving up high with the intense light. So I brought them down. You can actually see the Velitas coming back a little bit, the purple.
Yes.
The blue tenuous has been struggling, and I can't give you the exact acro species on that, but he was bright, vibrant green a month ago.
Oh, it's interesting. And this is a perfect example. First of all, I don't think it's no longer tenuous, right? What's the name?
I'm not a
Something
big,
with a
they've
K.
changed the subspecies.
They just did that.
They've recategorized. Even African cichlids, I struggle with.
Oh my God.
The common or scientific names these days.
So, but what I'm noticing is that tenuous usually can handle a lot of light, but from your practice, you will still bring it down to let it recover, maybe brown out a little bit, but then after that, it's going to go up on the shelf.
I believe in that. I think that's a good approach.
Very neat. And speaking of other equipment, you've got, what, just 2 gyres? That's it?
That's all I got.
Oh, wow. So 2 gyres, and yet, you know, you can see that you've got the hammers on one side and torches, and then on the other side, you've got acros, and acro polyps are looking pretty good. Look at the this Marvin the Martian and all the polyps that this one's got.
Got that from Treasure Corals.
Ooh. What is it, treasurecorals.com?
That's correct.
Okay.
Just go see Dimitri. He'll be able to supply you with those. Those are amazing animals.
I love the polyps.
Super happy with it.
Yeah.
And not expensive at all. You know, very reasonable, forgiving. It's one of the higher end acros out there, but they tend to be a little more forgiving for maybe people that might be trying to start.
Yeah. And when you've got those 2 pumps going, like what is the program?
Because I only have them, they run 24/7 at a pulse of 100%, about 2 seconds per pulse. So they're offset. So one will go and the other will go.
That's phenomenal.
I don't have any. I'd like to have a couple under the reef.
Yeah.
The
You've got great flow though.
The substrate gets blown around.
Yeah.
I did put a little bit of a heavier output pump on it.
I see. Oh yeah.
Which does help with the corner flow.
Yep.
And I'm pretty happy with my movement. I got subtle movement on my euphyllias. Nothing's getting torn off.
No.
And yes, my acros are doing very well.
I am quite amazed that you have the torches handling kind of the same strong flow as the acros on the other side, and they're very happy. Like that's pretty cool.
A little bit of training, getting them accustomed to that heavier flow. We all know they can get torn off their exoskeleton very, very easily. So it's been gentle, but over time we've been increasing the flow and obviously changing the height of the Reef Wave 45.
So okay, so it's Reef Wave 45. Those are nice looking power heads. Now, tell me, why didn't you go with, let's say, more of the random flow for either one of them? Because I'm noticing more and more people trying the pulse, so I'm just curious.
I like the ebb and flow.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer of creating the artificial wind currents using those wave makers. That's the purpose behind them. So rather than random flow, which sometimes you'll get more sediment built up, you see my leathers are loving it down below. I do have a little bit of the sand moving.
Yes. It's
tolerable, I think, when nothing's collecting on any of the animals. And because of the floating reefs, which we haven't touched base on quite yet, I have a lot of ins and outs for the flow, as you can see.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about the structure shortly, but tell me, so that particular leather, it's getting an amazing, like just picture perfect flow. That flow, is that coming from, do you think, this power head or the one over there? Like, I mean, how do you think the flow goes throughout the tank?
I believe it's coming from all of it. The two out jets that we have here and both of these. And if we know about the reef waves, you can alternate. One can be blowing up, one can be blowing down. And because they're alternating the pulse, I think it's that current and counter current that we're creating so that we don't have to have all these extras.
So you think that two of them are going at the top, they meet in the middle, probably with that little 22-second offset, and then they just curl up and then come back this way. Like, I mean, is that kind of the thought, you think?
If you look at the centerpiece, this red pipe organ, it doesn't have any consistent flow on it.
No.
It's being battered on this side, on the bottom, on the top. That is what we're looking for.
Wow.
I think these anemones, these RBTs, they're doing amazing. They do have the bubbles. They're not over pulsated, I believe, and moving too much.
And they know moving away, which means that they like it.
They're enjoying it.
Look at
the elegance, the lagoon elegance.
Ooh.
Again, sometimes too much flow can cause them to not be as happy.
For sure.
Doing amazing.
No, this is exceptional. I mean, I'm learning something here as well because flow is kind of my weak side. Like, I mean, I've experimented different things. I think the lighting is a lot easier, but the flow, there's so many variables. You need to have a degree in flow dynamics to
the
really
floating reefs create so much more flow when we have the traditional setup. We don't get that flow under the rocks as much.
Yes.
And I think that is a huge part of it.
Okay, so let's talk about the floating reef. I know we shot a video over a year ago at the Steels location where it was the first floating reef. And then you've basically started with this tank. I know at the beginning it wasn't a floating reef, and then Gary said, let's do two floating reefs or whatever that is.
So we actually did the opposite. So the floating reef that we put at Steels was designed to go over our pre-filter bracket.
Yes, yes.
These ones are not designed. They're designed to go on a flat back piece of glass or a flat wall.
Okay.
And we decided to put two instead of the one in the center.
Yes.
And then put the balmies or the islands underneath. We also elevated this a little bit more.
Yes.
So it has a couple of maybe ugly eyesores some people might consider. But again, with people like us, we understand that it's going to grow in.
Yes.
It's going to fill in. And this is only 1 year.
Yes. Yes.
So 1 year, this was a frag. These were all frags at 1 year. It's developed incredibly well. Yeah. And I think a big part of that, as we talked about the flow and the not amount, we don't have to have huge amounts of wave making systems with the floating reef. Yep. And it's really working very well.
That is incredible. I really like it. And if I had an opportunity to have two more tanks, at least one of them is going to be a floating reef. I think it's phenomenal. Seeing that flow and, like you said, things underneath, like there is so much circulation. It's nice. It's
so untraditional. I still have a hard time looking at it, and really, like Ron. I'm impressed with Ron's vision with this, and Ron was the one who did this with me, again over at North York.
Yep.
I can't take all the credit for it. He did a big part with me. He helped build the floating reefs, and I've just been maintaining it for the duration of that time.
Love it. Okay, let's talk coral now. So you've got clearly like more euphilia on the left. You've got some nice donut corals or brain corals. You've got some anemones. What is that thing in the middle like?
This is a red pipe organ.
Oh, wow.
It's been in the market and in the hobby for 40 plus years. Back then when I dealt with it, it was one of those difficult corals to manage.
Yes.
The biggest piece I've ever seen in my life personally.
Yeah.
He's very happy.
Yeah, it's the size of like a smaller volleyball or something.
Yeah, it's your GSP, I guess, your green star polyps. But this has an actual exoskeleton.
Yes, yes. Not softy.
When we're all said and done,
look at that.
you can actually see inside there. There's a beautiful red body on this animal.
Oh, wow.
So a little different, more of an encruster and kind of like the flower pots.
Yeah. No, at first I thought it was a flower pot, but like this is way different. How easy it is to frag something like that? And have you ever even fragged it?
Yep, yeah, they're pretty easy with the right saw, as we are comfortable with.
Yeah.
The diamond saws and blades that we use do a fabulous job.
That's beautiful.
I got a piece of that for you whenever you're ready.
All right.
Absolutely.
Done.
Absolutely.
Done. And it's so nice to see leather coral like this one, like so toxic green, but with the like it almost looks the
back.
leather. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a torch in of itself, right? I mean, look at that. It's got those fancy white tips, which is pretty cool as well.
It's very unique. It's been put in a great spot. I believe Ron put that down there. Sometimes placement is everything.
Placement is
and
everything.
it's certainly not getting a tremendous amount of light. You can see it's actually shaded, but it is doing wonderful.
And speaking of light, what's the percentage roughly? Like, do you run them at like 80%, 100?
I'm at 60% right now.
Okay, so not
Same
a lot
as what Ron set them at when we first came to reacclimate the system and change the rock. I just don't think it's necessary to do too many changes because it's been so stable.
And I would argue that all the colors look pretty spot on. Like, you don't necessarily need to get any more light out of them.
I don't believe so.
No. So you've got some acros over here and quite a selection as well. I really like that rock structure because you've got that flow underneath each colony. A lot of times they start to die out if there's not enough flow here, but you've got all the angles, which is
a very good point.
Cool.
Very good point. The undercurrent is really important for our really challenging SPS acro species.
So that's neat. And okay, I gotta ask, what species is this?
Tridacna?
Yeah,
it's a Tridacna.
It's crazy. Like, it looks so old.
Pardon me.
It
was faded a little bit when we first got here. It's been a challenge to try to bring it back. His foot is having a hard time. He was never really situated well. His growth has caused him to have an unbalance. So we've placed him on the rock with the hopes that he'll have some stability. As we know, an animal like this, it could take a year for it to turn around. Patience, consistency, and it is quite happy. It doesn't have any really damage to it. It's always open. It's always reacting whenever we give it a little shade. Typically, if we come down to him, he'll sort of react, which is.
But it doesn't react to the
light,
one of our
telltales. So, sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I like the clam a lot. Mine unfortunately died, but I think I'm in the market at some point to get another clam. I think it also help with at least knowing how good your quality of the water is.
They're tough.
They're phenomenal.
I really personally have struggled most of my life to keep a clam in my personal aquariums and long term in a lot of my customers' tanks.
Oh, this is beautiful. I like your selection, and for a tank that's only a year old, this is phenomenal. Now let's take a look underneath. What's powering it? I'm recognizing a lot of fauna products. You've got the skimmer, the whole 9 yards. So what are your go-tos in the sump usually? Like, what are the things that for you are non-negotiables, or things that you will try to see in most of the sump that you run?
Obviously, our skimmers, very important for all of us. With this really dense rock, I firmly believe in having some sort of backup media for my bacteria support. Very traditional, as I do in the past with the cups. A little bit of floss, and then I keep my eye on my phosphates and my nitrates. I might dose it from time to time or reduce it. As you can see, all my little bells and whistles on the side there, the Faunamarin balling light set. We're using the Senti doses from Seachem, Aqua Vitro. One of the things I really appreciate about these is you can change them when you're not on site.
Oh, so you can plug in and
Wi-Fi.
And
I can actually open the app from my home and make changes here according to some of the test results that some of the staff might send to me, or if I'm not here and I'm at the other store, they do monitor it and they will check it, and I can adjust right on to sort of real time. Some of the other dosers, you have to be beside the unit.
Yeah, like I like this about the Apex. I can access my Apex everywhere, and it saved me many times. But Mobius, for example, you have to be on premise, which I hope at some point they will make it available online. Like,
you're paying for your Apex. Yeah. That's why, and we're paying big for these. Yeah. So the extra features, in my opinion, for guys like us, it's critical. It's important. We're hands-on day in and day out. We don't take days off.
Yes, which is also it's a blessing and a curse, right?
Yes,
it's one of those things. But the sump is like really you've got some cryptic zones here. Apparently, this is the new craze now. Like, people are talking about the cryptic zones.
I'm personally not tidying up my space because Dimitri's showing up. So I'm like a lot of us. I'll have a little salt here and there that I deal with. As long as we take care of it and we manage it, I think it's okay. I'm not looking for sanitary by any mean. I'll clean these up from time to time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important not to, worry about that kind of stuff.
Now, what do you think about, so in the sumps, when you start getting the detritus accumulating, you know how there's this film, like if for example, in some places, my sump, if I were to take a power head and put it in, like my whole tank will get cloudy away. So
Me too.
Do you do you believe in disturbing this thing and just cleaning it all the time, or like leaving it be and like not touching it for years?
Definitely not years, but I do believe in a consistent 3-month, perhaps 6-month schedule. This is definitely ready
for
to sort of have a little bit of cleaning, minimize. You can even see inside the skimmer there.
Yeah. So
I remember you did a video with your skimmer, and you brought back to life one of your Noyos.
Yeah.
Love the video. I think everybody should have a look at it. It's on your channel. And that's the same idea that needs to happen with these. Every 6 months or every year, pull it out, clean it up.
Very nice.
Good habits are important.
And tell me about the dosing. So what's implementation? So is it a 2-part, 3-part calic?
It's my common balling light set.
Yes.
So it is a 3-part, the carbonate, the mag, and the calcium.
Yep.
And like everybody, it's based on my absorption rate.
Yes.
So I took a few weeks or even a month to balance it out.
Yep.
I have a very good sweet spot right now. I don't have exact numbers for you, but I know, like at Steele's, that is probably 150 mil a day.
Yeah.
To support what we're dealing with right now.
Like, I mean, your sand looks phenomenal. Like, I mean, there's nothing, there's no detritus, there's no algae on it, which is great. Do you do any trace elements, or are you just basically so separate from the?
I do. I manually dose twice a week whenever I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm actually using the Tropic Marin A and K.
Oh, okay.
I like that product. With
what's the rationale? Like, I mean, why did you pick that, and what's in it?
It's a good dollar for dollar value, and the dosing amounts for our big tanks is not over exaggerated.
Right.
I'll have a bottle for quite a long time. Inside our balling light set, we do have our trace elements.
Yes. That's
so we're just trying to keep them, and if my eye test is really good, well, I'm not really dosing those on a regular routine basis.
That's very neat, Gary. Like, I really like it, and I think I'm gonna apply a few of those little tricks. Every single time after we do a video, I come back and I tweak a few things just to take it to the next level. And most of
I do too. Work. I watch a lot of the videos you see with other people. You did one recently where the gentleman was discussing his light only doing 8 or 9 hours, and you were shocked that it was only 8 or 9 hours. And he discussed this is what works for him, for his animals. So yeah, that's really important. I like our sweet spot. We want to make sure each individual sort of finds that based on their habits and their system.
Very nice. Now, this tank has a little brother? Like, what's happening over here?
This is our Red Sea Reefer 170.
Ooh, okay. So
about 40 gallons. Yeah. It is very OG. It's one of the original ones. It's been set up for about 7 years, Marcus. 7 years, roughly.
Very neat.
Marcus in the background there is the
Marcus.
gentleman responsible for taking care of this.
That is nice. Like, I like this. Like, I'm a sucker for cubes. I love cubes very much. and it's such a simple like starter tank for somebody who wants to get in. That's still very manageable, but also the aquascape on this one is really working for that particular size of aquarium.
It's perfect.
Yeah, like
it's perfect. It's really well thought out. Excellent coral placement.
Oh yeah,
the rock anemones are spectacular.
They are sweet.
Lobos looking amazing. Lepthasteria, all of the euphyllias, the zoas, the Duncan. It's really doing very well. There's Alveo in the back.
So I think for somebody who just wants to get into a tank, this would be a perfect one. If you don't want to, get into hardcores, if you're a little bit intimidated, this is a perfect tank with like lots of color. And what is it? Just one light. It's a XR15 blue.
Correct.
I recognize the blue. I also like the visor on this one. Like that's ingenious because you don't have any light.
Dimitri Treasure Corals.
Treasure Corals. There you go.
Excellent product.
So is it a basslet? What's
chalk bass?
With this one? Oh, is it a
chalk
bass?
I think it's a chalk bass.
Oh, nice. So you don't see them very often in people's aquariums. Like
they're pretty unique. They're good for small tanks, big tanks, reef friendly. They're really versatile and they're gorgeous.
Yes.
They're gorgeous. They're not overly aggressive or overly dominant. As you can see, we have a pretty nice community environment with the fish. They do get along very well. Not overstocked, but active and vibrant. Marcus does a really nice job as well. He's got a simple skimmer.
No frills, but
ATO, a couple of floating bags. Ready to reef, excuse me.
Oh.
Yes, ready to reef.
Yeah.
Tropic Marin.
That is very neat. I like it. It's
the one simple doser head with the all-in-one solution.
So perfect starter tank where people who don't want to get into the crazies territory where we swim,
not intimidating at all.
Get into something like this and off you go.
I hear that from people all the time. They feel intimidated when they see this. This is just a little bit easier for people to understand and manage.
Now, is that the biggest tank you have here at the store, or there's something even bigger?
I do have a 1,200 gallon.
1,200 gallon.
In the fish room.
Okay, I got to see that one.
It's one of our display tanks.
Oh, wow. How old is this thing?
This tank was put in originally when the shop was open, probably around 12 or 15 years now.
Oh, wow. And back then, I think the curved glass was the thing, right? I mean, so
that's right.
You can see it's kind of, it's not as modern as some of the newer tanks, but that is the design that was in vogue, to your point, like 15 years ago.
I like to call it antique.
Yes. Yes, antique.
People say it's not updated. It's antique.
It is antique, so yeah.
It's nice. I don't think, again, we're not trying to be flashy and overdo anything. Keep it simple. I really like the rock structure.
Yeah.
We have a skimmer, we have a filter, we have a massive tower. We do our water changes every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And all the fish are very happy.
Yeah, this is great. But also look at the size of those fish. Like this is not your regular aquarium fish. Like these things are 12 inches and more. Like,
I'm gonna toot my own horn, which I don't like to do. I raised the sailfin and naso for approximately 17 years.
Oh, wow. So that answers a question that some people have, like how old the fish live. A lot of times when people come over to my place and ask about marine fish, and I say, wait, I have fish that are 10 years old and older. They're like, oh my God, they don't believe you. But you can have a 20-year-old fish in this hobby.
Absolutely. From the Tamini.
Yeah, look at that Tamini. It's the size of a nice
bicolor, the yellow. All of these fish were in one of our tanks for over 10 years. The two original sailfin and naso, about 17 years old. They came here last year when my client got rid of their aquarium, and they're doing amazing. They're such a beautiful showpiece.
Well, if I were to make an advice, say if anybody who has a fish that outgrows their aquarium, I think what they should do is should come to a local, say, Big L store or any other good saltwater store and just donate it, or maybe even get some credit. But like, give the fish this swim space that it deserves. For sure.
I agree.
That is neat. Gary, this is pretty cool. We did a trifecta. We came in for 1 tank and we left with 3. Really appreciate it. Your dedication to this hobby definitely is commendable.
Thank you, sir.
Very much appreciated.
You as well, Dimitri. Let's not take anything away from you. Well, you've been doing this a long time, and yeah, for people like us, you support us and you grow with us.
Yeah.
And it's very much appreciated, and we'll continue this long-term relationship for many years to come.
I really appreciate it, and I had fun, and I'll make sure to be back 6 to 8 months later to do an update on your tank.
Always look forward to it. Always look forward to it.
Thanks.